The Board of Trustees of Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District is now convened in a regular meeting on Tuesday, January 21st, 2014, in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center, 10,300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas, at 6 p.m. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports, approve budgets, contracts, personal appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by Section 551.071 to 551.084 inclusive of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on CFTV Channel 16 and CFTV online on the district website. They will also be rebroadcast throughout the month on Channel 16 and available as video on demand on the website. For the tape to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. Tonight's invocation will be presented by Teresa Hull, Associate Superintendent for Governmental Relations, Communications, and Chief of Staff. Cypress Woods High School, JROTC cadets presenting the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance are Andrew Ficalora, Michael Hughes, Robert Armstrong, and Austin Scott. Their sponsors are Major Wanda Ewing and Senior Master Sergeant Steve Reinhardt. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly God, tonight we gather in your presence for one reason, the students in this community. We thank you for this Board of Trustees as we recognize them tonight for their dedication and commitment to the students of CFISD. Thank you for placing them in the Cy-Fair community and for leading them to these positions of responsibility. Bless their families also as they provide love and support for this important work. We are thankful for our employees who provide our students with the knowledge and experiences that allow them to make the most of the talents and gifts you have given each one of them. We continue to pray for your blessings on the men and women in the armed services. We pray for their safety, and we pray, as always, that our world learns to live in love and peace with each other. We ask all of these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you to those Cy Woods cadets. Board Member Tom Jackson will read the district's vision and mission statement for the benefit of the audience. Mr. Jackson?
Our vision statement, the acronym LEAD, Learn, Empower, Achieve, Dream. Our mission statement, the district shall maximize every student's potential through rigorous and relevant learning exercises, preparing students to be 21st century global leaders.
Thank you, Tom. Just so y'all know, behind the scenes, I just pretty much completely screwed that up. Supposed to be Kevin, he's not here. So I suckered Tom into doing this, and as I introduced Tom, Christine's holding up the vision and mission statement like, it's for me. I was like, sorry. Anyway, live and learn. We will now move on to the special recognitions portion of the agenda. Agenda item 1A. In honor of Texas School Board Recognition Month, the superintendent will recognize the Cypress-Fairbanks ISD Board of Trustees for their dedication, leadership, and continuing service to the children of the district. Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as Don said, this is Texas School Board Recognition Month, and it's an annual event where we take time to honor those volunteers who work literally hundreds of hours for no compensation during the year to make sure that our schools, our employees, and of course all of our students are taken care of. And we have an outstanding board in this community that represents the entire community and represents every student in this district. We also have three groups here that would like to honor you this evening, and the three, and I'll just ask all three ladies to come up to this microphone over here, and I think they want to speak to the board. We have Celeste Heath with our VIPS Executive Board, Trish Billings with PTO President's Council, and Leslie Martone, the Cy-Fair Chamber of Commerce President. So I would ask y'all to come up to this microphone.
Thank you, Dr. Henry, Mr. Ryan, and the Board of Trustees. On behalf of the Cy-Fair Volunteer and Public Schools, it is my privilege to thank you for your dedication, leadership, and service to our school district. You, the school board trustees, represent the spirit of volunteerism by setting an example of selfless, often thankless dedication to all of our students and to the district as a whole. Being a member of the VIPS Executive Board has allowed me to witness firsthand the many volunteer contributions made to our volunteers on each campus on a daily basis. And I'm happy to say that the spirit of volunteerism is very much a part of the culture of Cy-Fair. Thank you for your efforts, your example, and your continued support. To show our appreciation to you, the VIPS Executive Board will donate a new book in your name to the Resource Center of Pope Elementary School, our newest school. Each book will have a nameplate honoring you for your service during the 2013-14 school year. Now, some of our very own students from Cy-Fair schools, Kayla Middle School and Emmett Elementary School, will present you with a bookmark depicting this year's VIPS theme, Hats Off to Volunteers, and our most recent copy of the Apple Corps, our volunteer newsletter, for your reading pleasure. We'd also like you to know that the staff and students from Keith Elementary have also donated books in your name for your efforts and hard work to their resource center also. Thanks for all that you do, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Excuse me.
Leslie.
This is the head of our chamber, Leslie Martone, in case y'all just
Thank you.
might as well give you an introduction since you're here,
Thank
Leslie.
you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. President Ryan, Superintendent Henry, and rest of valued trustees. We thank you for all that you've given our community. As part of the president of the Chamber of Commerce, we're thriving businesses in the community, and we're growing like crazy, and we're glad for that. But we only do that because of the amazing school district, and I thank you for your leadership to the chamber, your leadership to the community, and your leadership to the school district. I should have brought some students with me, but I forgot that part of it. So I'm going to hand out some nice goodie bags that come from our members, and I know they are all very appreciative. They wish they could all give you something, but I had to slow them down, so next year we'll get a little bit more. But thank you for all your service. I know you have time away from your family, time away from things that you want to do for leisure and fun, but we know that this is fun for you too. So thank you for your time and your commitment to our community.
For me? Thank you.
There's so much money in this bag. It's crazy.
Just one more thing. Give it to Donna there if you want to. Just one more thing related to our trustees, just so you know that our campuses have all put a book in honor of our trustees in their libraries at the school and some other honors. So I just wanted to acknowledge our campuses and thank them for taking the time to honor our trustees this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Before we continue on, I do need to recognize our students manning the cameras tonight. They're our AVP students from Cypress Woods High School, Alexis Kulik, Casey Driver, Michael Moss, and Anthony Levinson, and their AVP teacher at Cy Woods is Lori Andrade. So, you can recognize him? I also want to recognize from our CLC, I believe we have Craig Sharp, Debbie Blackshear, Chuck Bramman, and Leslie Martone, who you just saw give us those bags of money, in the chamber. And so if you guys would stand up and be recognized, appreciate you being here. And if we're recognizing volunteers, they volunteer a ton, so they're really awesome. And I think our VIPS board is here as well. Maybe? Maybe not? If y'all stand up. Awesome. And if anyone has yet to stand up and you just want to stand up, do it now, because I pretty much recognized everybody tonight. Agenda item 1B, the board will recognize the 2012-2013 APQC Behavioral Energy Management Conservation Pilot Program winners. I believe this will be, Mr. Sprague. Hello.
Good evening. Mr. Ryan, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Henry. It is our pleasure tonight to be able to present to you some results of the APQC Behavioral Modification Project we undertook back in 2010-2011. As you know, we went through some training as a district and learned some process management techniques, and since then we've developed a project that developed into a behavioral modification program in an effort to save some energy. I'm happy to report that the board approved a contract to Energy Systems Associates, as we refer to them as ESA, to assist us with developing this behavioral modification program. And as a result of that, we have some good news to present to you all this evening. And I'm going to ask Jason Walding, our energy manager, who's been overseeing this project, to come up and briefly explain the program and present the awards tonight. Jason.
The pilot program consisted of 8 facilities throughout the district. These campuses include Francone, Holmesley, Yeager Elementary Schools, Aragon, Kayla Middle Schools, Cy Falls and Cy Ranch High Schools, and the Berry Center. These facilities participated in a competition to see which campuses could achieve the greatest percentage of reduction in energy use in the 2012-2013 school year. Each campus assembled an energy team consisting of an energy champion from their administration and a group of student leaders to be part of the program. The pilot program achieved a total of 6% reduction in energy consumption at 1,128,996 kilowatt hours and a net savings of $68,805. I'd like to introduce the following campus at this time. I'm starting with Holmesley Elementary School at a 5 reduction of $1,901.69. To Anna Diaz, Principal, and Liz Skinner, Energy Champion. You guys will come on up. And you may come up here to get your check, please. Aragon Middle School at 7% reduction at $7,033.51. Brant Dole Energy Champion. Maria Hatcher, 8th grade student. Dylan Teeters, 8th grade student, and Maria Mamaw, principal. Cy Falls High School with a 6% reduction at $14,003.05. Becky Denton, Principal, Zach Tuthill, Energy Champion.
Make sure you have the students and staff, parents stand up.
I'd like to recognize any additional students, staff, and parents that are in the audience. Could you please stand up to be recognized? I know you're out there. Now, on behalf of the Energy Management Department, I'd like to thank everybody that participated in the pilot program and in the ongoing district-wide program. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 1C, the board will recognize Faith Assembly Church and Academy for the donation of bicycles to the students at Reed Elementary. I believe our presenter tonight will be actually Dr. Henry.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ryan, Board of Trustees. I would go ahead and ask if they would, Trey Wilburn, come on up, and I'd also like for Kat Saragosa Krolchik to come up also while I read this. You know, one of the great privileges of my time here as superintendent has been witnessing the power of our community to change students' lives for the better. Two of our community partners joined forces over the holiday season to do exactly that for Reed Elementary. And so I wanted to take this time tonight to publicly thank and recognize Faith Assembly Church and Academy Sports and Outdoors, store number 35. Faith Assembly Children's Pastor Trey Wilburn first contacted me in early December to inform me that the church was planning on giving away a bicycle to every student at Reed Elementary. And I thought it surely must have been a misprint. But upon further investigation, I found out this was, in fact, the real thing. Faith Assembly's relationship with Reed Elementary began with an adopt-a-school partnership in 2010. The bicycle giveaway began as a what-if idea during a church staff meeting years ago, but became a reality in 2013 when the church raised the necessary funds and purchased the bicycles through a generous discount from Academy. On December 12th, Wilburn and the rest of the Faith Assembly leadership team pedaled through the Reed Elementary cafeteria on bikes to announce the giveaway in exciting fashion. Truckloads of bicycles from Academy arrived at the church on December 13th, where hundreds of church members and community volunteers, including a group from Jersey Village High School, worked for 2 days to assemble the bikes and prepare them for distribution on December 15th. On the giveaway Sunday, a total of 955 bicycles, tricycles, and wagons were given away to every single Reed student, truly making for a memorable holiday season in that community. Faith Assembly lead pastor Jason Taylor told us that it was their desire to be woven into the fabric of this community, and after seeing how nearly 1,000 of our families were touched by such goodwill and generosity, I have to say that we are truly proud to share the same stitching. Please join me in commending Faith Assembly Church and Academy Sports and Outdoors for their support of our students in Cypher ISD. And I would also just like to add that, one of the beautiful things about this community is that our faith-based organizations have the same mission that we do here in Cypher ISD, and that's to make sure that every single child and every family has a better life. It doesn't matter what your zip code is, it doesn't matter what your income is, you all deserve the same opportunity to a quality education. And I'm so proud that y'all are part of our Cypher family. I'm so proud of the commitment of Academy to improve the lives of our children. And I also started something new this year. There's a little Superintendent's Challenge coin that I give out to those that go above and beyond. And we give this to everyone who's truly just gone above and beyond the call of duty. So we have a certificate for you, but we also have a challenge coin that I would like to present to Academy Sports and Outdoors and Faith Assembly Church for your work. Thank you very much.
Just to follow up on Mark said, you can't help but think back when you were a kid at Christmas and the absolute awesome gift that if you were to receive a new bike and to have actually 955 bikes donated to students is utterly amazing. Faith Assembly, Trey, you guys, Academy, such a blessing to our community. Thank you so much. I know you might think it's a really small gesture, but to 955 kids, it was amazing. So thank you very much for what you did. Agenda item 1D, the superintendent will make remarks and announcements, including the honors and achievements earned by staff and students in recent weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Stuart Snow, our Associate Superintendent for Business, Financial, and Technology Services, will be inducted this week as the 2014 Chairman of the Board for the Cypher Houston Chamber of Commerce. Stuart has been a member of the Chamber since 2007, on the Board of Directors since 2008, serving as Treasurer for the past 5 years. And I can truly say it is an honor to have Stuart leading that group, and it just shows that, again, that the school district is woven into the community of Cypher ISD, and our employees here volunteer in other organizations to help lead those. So Stuart, congratulations, and appreciate you doing that. Roy Sprague, Associate Superintendent for Facilities, Construction, and Support Services, recently received the Certified Educational Facility Planner designation from the Council of Educational Facility Planners. An individual earning this mark of excellence has achieved the highest qualification in the profession. And again, those of you who know Roy, and I think he's been here 17 years, know what an asset he's been for this district. The Engineering and Technology Department at Cy Woods High School has been selected as the Program of the Year Award recipient by the Texas Technology and Engineering Educators. The application process for this award is very lengthy and time-consuming, and only one school per state is selected for this honor. CFISD recently received a 5-star rating from the Office of Susan Combs, Texas Controller, for academic and financial performance. CFISD is one of only 55 districts among more than 1,200 statewide to win this honor. This is the 4th year in a row CFISD has received this rating, and I can tell you there's only 8 districts, I believe, that have received this award every year for 4 years, and Cyfair ISD is one of those 8. CFISD is the largest district in Texas without any priority or focus schools as identified by the Texas Education Agency. Not being on the list indicates the dedication of our teachers and administrators, along with a strong curriculum and a focus on individual instruction needs of our students. On January 3rd and 4th, Cyfair ISD hosted the 12th annual wrestling tournament at the Berry Center with 75 teams competing from the top programs in Texas and Louisiana. This tournament is one of the largest in the nation. The Cypress Ridge girls, who are, by the way, the defending state champions, won the tournament, and the Cy Woods boys team placed 7th overall. 5 CFISD athletes won gold medals at the event. Congratulations to all of our talented athletes and coaches. At this time, I would like Roy Garcia to introduce our new principal at Cypress Ridge High School, Stephanie Michelle. Roy?
Thank you, Dr. Henry. President Ryan and Board of Trustees, last month, Stephanie Michelle was introduced to the Cypress Ridge staff as their new principal. Tonight, we would like to introduce her to you and to the CFISD community. Stephanie received her Bachelor of Science in Education, her Master's of Education, and her Master's of Counseling from Stephen F. Austin State University. Stephanie has 22 years in the education profession. She has served as a history teacher, a physical education teacher, and an athletic director. In Cypress-Fairbanks, Stephanie served as an assistant principal at Cy Ridge for 3 years and as the associate principal the past 7 years. Stephanie has also served as a summer school principal. When Stephanie is not working, she enjoys spending time at her ranch in East Texas, where she raises cattle and cultivates hay. Stephanie says spending time on the tractor brings about some of the best ideas. Another interesting fact about Stephanie is that her uncles have served Cypress-Fairbanks from 1952 to the present, giving over 115 years of service. Please join me in congratulating Stephanie Michelle, principal of Cypress Ridge High School.
Dr. Henry, Mr. Ryan, school board, thank you so much for this opportunity, not only to serve the students, staff, and the community of Cypress Ridge High School, but also to serve an amazing district in Cyfair ISD. Whenever I first came from the country to the city, it was a big jump, but what made it so much easier is the family atmosphere that Cyfair offered, and truly was embraced, and couldn't have been blessed. I was born into an amazing family that I will introduce, but God has blessed me with an amazing work family at Cy Ridge High School. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my amazing family. I have Laura Simons. Go ahead and stand up. Give you a little exercise while we're at it. My sister, Renee, who, I know it's surprising, but she works cattle right alongside with me. She can drive a tractor taking care of the rake and raking the hay. Victor Garza, her husband, an amazing man. I'm truly blessed to have the opportunity for him to come into our family. He's taught me the value of hard work and never giving up, and nothing's going to beat you no matter what. Patience, keep looking at it, and you'll figure it out. And he likes common sense, so I like that a lot too. My parents aren't able to be with us, but they are looking down, smiling big. My mom went to Cyfair ISD, and I'm very, very proud of that. But I have 2 angels here that really look out after me, and that first angel is Claudio Garcia. And Claudio, please stand for me. If you need someone to blame for me being the district, look right here. What a phenomenal leader to have the opportunity to mentor under for the years that I have, and I'm truly blessed. His leadership goes deep in his school, and because of that, It has given me a great opportunity to be successful at Cy Ridge because the leadership that he has is not just in the administration, but it's also with our teachers, and we're so proud of that. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. And my second angel, Miss Irene Herring, who is phenomenal at knowing everything of the little secrets and the nooks and the cranny of what I need to do for my job. She does a great job of taking care of me. And then certainly I could not say enough about my Cy Ridge family that I'm truly blessed to have. Will y'all please stand? Their support is amazing, and it's daily because of the heart that they have for kids and the heart that they have for improving our community. And I couldn't be remiss without Miss Anna Garcia, who also, go ahead, Miss Anna, who's taken care of Claudio for a long time, but I hear she's still going to be making some goodies for me as well. So thank you. And then I would be remiss because whenever I look over here, I see such amazing leaders that have helped me on this trip to where I am today, and I couldn't be here without those. So Miss Anna Martin, Miss Becky Denton, please stand for me. Thank you.
Very nicely said, Stephanie. Let's take, I'm surprised Becky's still here after she got that big check. I thought she'd be headed out the door. Shocking. Let's take a couple-minute break so you can recognize Stephanie for those friends that want to say something to her. And then also, if you get a chance to thank Trey and Kat from Academy for you guys coming out tonight and what they did. Let's just take about a 2 or 3 minute break. Trust me, I'll holler at you when it's time to come back. Agenda item 2A. Any board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting being required. Comment items may not pertain to the character of any student, staff, or board member and may not be discussed or deliberated upon at this time. Any board members that would like to make a comment? Ms. Hartley.
Oh, I just wanted to comment on, I had the opportunity to attend Rodeo Day recently at Swinky Elementary. And it's not the rodeo day that you think where everybody just dresses in Western clothes. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo have volunteers that apparently come out to schools every Friday. They hit different schools and you sign up for this program. And it was so amazing. They brought animals, they had a rodeo clown there, they did the music, they did roping, it was all over the school. And to me, it was the neatest, a very, very neat day. So if any schools have the opportunity to sign up for that, I know they rotate every 3 years. But I wanted to thank those Houston Livestock Show volunteers because they don't get paid for doing that, and they commit a lot of time to it. And I want to thank all of our principals and our A-teams for doing that scheduling because I know it's crazy. They were all over the building. But I think it was a great day, and the kids learned a lot about something different and something new, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Christine. Dr. Ogletree? Or you?
We are about to embark upon looking at boundaries for our schools and for our children, and I just want to just state that this is a time where we have a lot of participation in our meetings, a lot of emotions, and a lot of discussion and ideas. And I just want to remind all of those who are concerned that we really try to do our best to make the right decisions as it concerns where children go and to avoid disruption of families. And one thing that always comes up whenever we do boundary changes is we have this discussion about those kids. And we don't want those kids at our school. I want the community to really think about that because those kids are human beings. Those kids come from families. Those kids have the ability to learn. Those kids have names. those kids have dreams. And there's no way that we can build a school for the apartment kids or for the poor kids. This district is committed to educating every child that comes into our district. And I just hope that once we make those decisions for boundaries, that the same energy that our different communities spend on looking at maps, coming up with suggestions, criticizing, discussing what kids they don't want at their schools, will spend that same amount of energy making sure that those schools are the best schools in your community. We saw a great example of that tonight from the Faith Assembly Church. And just remember, we're going to do our best. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Very well said. Anyone else? Agenda item 3A. Patrons who have duly registered per policy BED local may address the board regarding matters of concern or interest to the district, other than the character of any student, staff, or board member. I would like to remind the audience and the viewers that the comments of the speakers reflect their own positions or opinions. The board may not discuss or act upon any matter that is not listed under the action item portion of the agenda. Therefore, board members may not discuss the comments of speakers. Please understand that a lack of a response from board members does not indicate agreement or approval of the comments. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the board. Ms. Christine Hartley, Secretary of the Board, will be the designated timekeeper. Tonight we have a few speakers that have signed up, and if you will, if you'll come up to the microphone on the right that's got the stoplight next to it, once you begin speaking, Ms. Hartley will hit a button that'll send you an electric shock through your body. No, it won't do that, but the light will turn green, and then once you have about 30 seconds left, the light turns yellow, and then once it turns red, you need to go ahead and shut her down, is what that means. Red is stop. And so our first speaker tonight is Miss Sharon Stringfellow. And there's a 50-50 shot of some of y'all, if your name's not like easy like Don, that I'll blast your name. No offense, just correct me when you get up there.
Hi, how are y'all doing this evening? I'm Sharon Stringfellow. I'm a resident of Cypress Creek Lakes, as I have been here for several months now, regarding transportation for our kids, where our portion had been, the buses had been taken away as of May or beginning of school year. I come without papers tonight, so nothing arranged, but I want to say really just thank you. We have been here October, November, and we have had several meetings with Matt Morgan as well as Bill Powell since then to address our concerns. They have come out to see our situation firsthand, which I think makes a difference versus just looking at it on a map. I just want to say that we're working at some resolutions of just trying to get some safety around the kids, whether or not it's traffic flow and other options that may be laid on the table. So I just wanted to say I appreciate it from the Cypress Creek Lakes area that y'all have heard our concerns, and really that Matt Morgan and Bill Powell have made extra effort to meet with us and kind of understand our concerns. As well as I would make my shout out to the Bond Steering Committee for the transportation, that they just make it a very high priority for going for it to be, I guess, evaluated into the bond, and that they really think of that hard for the safety of not just our children, but other schools, if we have driven the district and trying to notice how we were different versus other areas. There was several other schools that if my kids would be walking in those areas, I would certainly have concerns about as well. So I really hope the bond steering committee makes that a priority, puts it in, allows it for a May election to actually be able to get the next school year off and running for not only our children, but for many areas that the children are in the same situation. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stringfellow. Our second speaker tonight is Jason Culpepper. Those of you who don't know, Jason is with Community Impact Newspaper. I'll give you a little plug there. You get them in your mailbox, all the great coupons. This is Jason. Go ahead, Jason.
Y'all are all very beautiful people, except for you, Don.
Please stop.
No, thank you, Board of Trustees, Dr. Henry. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. The reason I am here is as a resident of Woodwind Lakes, personal, not so much professional. And I just wanted to provide comment on the agenda item 6A, which is regarding the rezoning modifications. Woodwind Lakes is essentially bordered from Gessner Road to Philippine, Mauna Loa, and Fairbanks. And it's about 650 homes. And the current proposal that has been presented by the district, I want to say that I'm in favor of it. A lot of my neighbors are. The way that it's been put together, and it seems very sound. And essentially, I've only lived there for 5 years, but everything I know about the community is, and have seen over the last 5 years with young kids, there are several young families in the community that have, there's a mom's group, and we've just always been kind of a divided community. And we're not a large community, we're 650 homes, and 500 of them currently are zoned to Reed, then Dean, and 150 are at Gleason going to Cook. I'm a proud graduate of Jersey Village High School, as well as attended Cook Junior High. So obviously there's a little pride I have that under the new plan, my two sons would follow in my footsteps now and be able to head to Gleason, Cook, and then Jersey Village. So I just wanted to throw my support behind it, and I appreciate all the work that Marty Edwards, Teresa Hull, as well as Blanca Cooper and any other staff that were involved in that, because it's very clean, and I appreciate that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Our next speaker will be Miss Mary Stoner.
Before I begin, Cyfair TSTA would like to take this time to thank the board for your tireless dedication to our entire community. We appreciate you. Good evening, President Ryan, Board of Trustees, Dr. Henry, and viewing audience. Based on TSTA surveys, our employees said healthcare cost was the #1 employee concern. Cyfair TSTA listened, and we feel compelled to take action at both the state and local levels. TRS active care premiums across Texas have been increased to the point of being unaffordable to hard-working Texas public education employees. The bottom line is simple. As the cost of health care and health insurance have continued to rise, the state and employer commitment to the health of Texas educators has failed to keep pace. Cyfair TSTA calls upon Cyfair ISD to increase their employer contribution to an amount that makes whole the educators carrying the burden of increased health care costs. Cyfair TSTA will also call on the TRS board to roll back the recent premium increases on educators and impose no further burden on school employees. Cyfair TSTA is urging a no vote against a mid-year additional increase at the TRS February 11th board meeting. You can be assured that TSTA will be present at the meeting and town hall scheduled that night in Corpus Christi. These premium increases have caused financial hardships for many school employees and their families and stand in stark contrast to the commitment to provide accessible, affordable, and quality health care for public education employees. Healthcare coverage should not be cost prohibitive to employees. Enough is enough. Given the importance of our work, Texas public education employees deserve better, and we request affordable healthcare premiums now. Our petition is circulating with hundreds of signatures, along with some heartfelt comments made by the signers. As a representative of Cy-Fair employees, we can no longer let this issue go unaddressed. We urge you to take your everyday employees into consideration when healthcare insurance decisions are made. And please remember that everything you do impacts the employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stoner. Our next speaker tonight will be Tracy Barnes.
Hello, good evening. I'm here to represent the parents of Town Lake and also our kids' friends in the other communities that are zoned to Rennell Elementary School. And I would like to recognize my additional residents here this evening as well that I'm speaking for over here. And we just found out about this meeting late yesterday. Otherwise, we would have a bigger group here. But a lot of us rescheduled to make it here to point out some things that we feel are important for our children, the things moms and parents do, right? Our kids in Town Lake have made friends at Rennell Elementary School, and now we're seeing this beautiful new school, Anthony Middle School, that's going up. And the zoning that is currently proposed doesn't include any of our current friends that our children have made at Rennell Elementary. The current communities are not zoned for the Anthony Middle School, which is Stonegate, Riata Ranch, and Canyon Lake West. And these communities are very close to the middle school. So demographically, it doesn't make a lot of sense where it's located. I'm sure there's many reasons for the way it's proposed, but we feel this would reduce some of the transportation costs for busing as well if those communities were included in the zoning for Anthony. We also, our concern is our children develop friendships. As parents, we develop friendships with the children's friends' parents and also develop a trust with the parents as well. When you have your children have sleepovers and different things, you have to trust their parents too. And we feel that our children are going into Anthony Middle School as the new kids because the other children's zone for the middle school are all currently pulled from Smith. So our kids won't have current friends at all at Anthony. It'll be the new kid on the block, so to speak. And then they also go into high school with that same thing. We're zoned for Cy Ranch High School, and we start over as a new kid at Cy Ranch High School because all of those kids currently are pulled from Smith Middle School. So our concern and what we would like to do is keep all of our kids' friends together and build long-term friendships. And we'd like for you to reconsider another option, and I'll leave a letter with you with that option 3 as well. We appreciate you listening and re-looking at the zoning for Anthony Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. If you have a letter, you can give it to our board secretary, Ms. Blowy, and she'll make sure that we get that.
Thank you.
Our next speaker tonight will be York Zhang. Did I kill it? Or, close. Just tell me the truth.
99% accurate.
Okay, there you go. Hey,
That's an A.
usually I don't get 99% of anything, so I appreciate that.
Okay, Mr. Ryan, Dr. Henry, Board of Trustees, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are doing well tonight. I'm York Zhang, a resident at Anderson Woods subdivision since 2009. Tonight, I'm here to represent the 200 families in my neighborhood to support the initial rezoning proposal for Bly Hamilton Middle School. But first, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Cypress-Fairbanks ISD for the great achievements Dr. Henry just talked about. Also, I would add to the point I just learned from the website, that is, there is no struggling school at the Cypress-Fairbanks ISD as compared to 53 in Houston ISD. So congratulations. Okay, we fully support the boundary plan for Bly Hamilton rezoning for the following reasons. First one is safety. The rezoning plan will ensure that no schools will be overpopulated. My preliminary calculation shows that the enrollment at the Bly will increase by anywhere from 10 to 20% within 5 years without the rezoning. Because that rezoning excluding 8 subdivisions and apartments from the current boundary. Anyway, I think this is very scary because historically, or the statistics shows that smaller classes will allow for potential disciplinary problems to be identified and resolved early on so that there will be no further risks. So first thing is safety. The second thing is the rezoning will provide the opportunity to relieve the teacher workload at the Bly. The third, the rezoning will ensure the good quality of education for both schools because it will provide smaller classes for Bly. Because smaller classes foster greater interaction among students, helping them understand each other and also increasing their desire to assist one another. The last but not least, the rezoning will ensure bonding among graduates from modern elementary and also parents like myself. Because like somebody just said, most kids at more elementary will go to Hamilton. Very few of them will go to Bly. So to be separated from those bonds during the middle school years could be difficult. To sum up, I support this initial rezoning plan as it will ensure safety at the schools, relieve teacher workload, and also provide better quality education for all the kids. It is really a win-win-win for the district, for the school, and the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker will be Laura Neidhart.
Thank you very much, Board. And I'm here, my name's Laura Neidhart, and my children attend Cook Middle School and Jersey Village High School. And it's about the new proposed boundary changes. The boundary changes actually don't drastically affect our school. However, I wanted to bring something to your attention. As I completely appreciate what Mr. Ogletree said about, making sure we have, we want our all kids schooled well but my biggest concern is, for my school, is kind of overcrowding or having all the schools somewhat balanced in the numbers at the schools. And there's a new proposal that rezones just a small little section of, I think, Woodwind Lakes and a few others that another gentleman mentioned earlier. And I'm not opposed to that specifically at all either way. What I'm more concerned with is a few years ago, there was a rezoning that resulted in giving Cook anywhere from maybe 130 to 180 more kids given, over the last few years, and flip-flopped. So our school has now been a little bit more kind of maxed out, and the other school, Campbell, kind of went down a similar amount. And actually, I see we went up to about 190 more, and they went down 130 or 175, so my numbers were flip-flopped. So really, I just ask if it feels like every few years kind of this happens, and sometimes that has to happen. I know that. There's different growths in different areas. But in this case, I'd like, if we're looking at that and we're looking at adding another area, right now the proposals just show, Cook totally stabilizing and Dean continuing to go up, and therefore that adding this section to Cook wouldn't affect us much. I just would like maybe a little bit more steady in that, and looking at if you're going to rezone again, possibly, I know you don't want to keep redrawing lines all over the place, but it feels like we potentially may grow more and more, because clearly we did grow quite a bit more than I'm guessing was expected over the last boundary. And I just got these numbers off of public school stats, and then and just kind of put them into a quick spreadsheet so I can give that to you. But anyway, thank you very much. Again, for me, and actually my kids, it doesn't even affect me and my kids that much, because I have a 7th grader, so by the time this goes into effect, I just would like the schools in general to be balanced, and I don't want any of them to get, too crowded. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Kimberly Jowers.
Good evening, Mr. Ryan, Dr. Henry, and Board of Trustees. I am here on behalf of myself and the Town Lake residents concerning the zoning of Anthony Middle School. I won't go into what Tracy spoke to earlier, but I want to share my personal experience. I myself am a product of Cy-Fair. Back when kids went to the same school, elementary, middle school, and high school. I went to Leader, Watkins, and then on to Lingham Creek. Now the proposal for Anthony has our kids from Rennell and the other students around the surrounding neighborhoods being split off into different middle schools. I have 3 children, a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a 1st grader. My family moved to Town Lake when my oldest was going into 5th grade, because I know my child and she's somewhat socially awkward. So I wanted her to start 5th grade to make friends, because I know how hard it is just starting junior high, and I didn't want her starting junior high not knowing anyone. Therefore, we moved into Town Lake so she could start make friends in 5th grade and then move with those friends. Well, she ended up at Smith, and none of her friends ended up there. And I don't want this happening to my other 2 children who will be moving up and going to Anthony. So my biggest concern is keeping our students together as they move through elementary, middle, and high school. And I'll leave you with this. As Dr. Henry said earlier, we want a better life for our children. And I believe that keeping our children together as they go through school will provide for that better life. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final speaker this evening will be Shane Rogers.
President Ryan and other members of the board, thanks for the opportunity to speak. Come on behalf of my wife, and she gave me a specific script to read, so I'll try to stick to it. I've been told I do better that way. But I have 2 children, a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, both of which go to Rennell right now, and we live in Canyon Lakes at Stonegate. And I've already heard some comments about it, but with Aragon Middle School, which we're zoned to right now, it appears to be overcrowded at about a little over 1,600 students. and Arnold Middle School at about a little over 1,500, Hopper Middle School at 13, almost 1,400 students, and then Thornton Middle School at 1,300. You guys have done a great job. I wouldn't want to be in any other school district than Cy-Fair ISD, regardless of where we go. But my appeal, our children have been at Rennell, and we would love to see them go on to Anthony Middle School because it's very close, not only in proximity to us, but also for the friendships that we've developed. My wife's very active in the PTO and has served as vice president there for a number of years. And we know that we would thoroughly enjoy the other school that we're currently zoned to as well, but just from the overcrowdedness and now the new opportunity with the new school, Anthony, being built next door to Rennell, it just seems to make sense. And I would really plead to the board to have that extra option thought about and considered. I didn't bring a big check, but that's all I have to say, or a bag of money, but thank you for your time.
You've still got some time left on your deal. If you want to run out and get a big check and bring it back in.
It wouldn't be a very big one. I wouldn't have a very big one.
I'll take another break for a big check.
It would probably bounce.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Agenda item 4A, the board will now recess so that a public hearing may be held. Ms. Ray has forms if any patron wishes to address the board regarding matters of concerns or interest related to the educational performance data presented. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the board. Ms. Christine Hartley, Secretary of the Board, will be the designated timekeeper. I believe our presenter, here we go.
All right. President Ryan.
Oh, wait, hey, hold that thought. Hey, all right, if anybody wants to go home, you can do it now. What Dr. Henry just threw to me, unless you want to hear this. But if you want to slide on out, we won't heckle you because someone has a small child, just saying. Okay, go ahead.
Good, all right. President Ryan, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Henry. The Texas Education Code requires each district's Board of Trustees to publish an annual report that includes the Texas Academic Performance Report, the TAPR, formerly known as the Academic Excellence Indicator System, the AEIS report. So a new acronym for you to learn. The report must also include campus performance objectives, information received from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and a report of violent or criminal incidents. The presentation contains a small sampling of the data contained in the TAPR report, and most of these data may not be new to you. However, the release of the report and this public hearing are requirements, as well as an opportunity to share with our viewers and the community at large information regarding our students' progress. Dr. Ashley Claiborne will continue with the report.
We will begin the public hearing with data taken directly from the Texas Academic Performance Report, also known as the TAPR. In the past, the Academic Excellence Indicator System reports, also known as AEIS, were shared with the board and the public via the public hearing in the district website. With the advent of a new accountability system, the state now provides the campus and district level data via the TAPR. This report contains a variety of testing, demographic, personnel, and financial information. The board and the public may access these data via the Cy-Fair ISD website by following the path before you. Before you now are data on the district's demographic trends. The student groups represented in the column to the far left include Asian Pacific Islander, African American, Hispanic, White, American Indian, 2 or more races, and economically disadvantaged. You will notice the following trends from the 2010-11 school year to the 2012-13 school year. An increase in the student population, a greater representation among minority groups, and an increase in the economically disadvantaged population, those qualifying for the free or reduced cost meal program. In the state accountability system, regular campuses and districts can earn either the MET standard rating or the improvement required rating. Alternative campuses, such as Winfern High School and Cypress-Fairbanks ISD, can earn either met alternative standard or improvement required. When you consider the 5 largest districts in Texas shown before you now, Cypress-Fairbanks ISD is the largest district in Texas in which all the campuses met the standard. When you compare Cypress-Fairbanks ISD with the neighboring districts listed above, you will notice all campuses in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD, Katy ISD, and Tomball ISD met the standard in the state accountability system. The other districts had campuses that earned the MET standard and improvement required rating. With the acceptance of a preliminary federal waiver, the Texas Education Agency no longer issues the MET AYP or missed AYP rating, and AYP stands for Adequate Yearly Progress. Instead, the lowest performing 15% of schools in Texas are identified as either priority or focus schools. Amongst the 5 largest districts in Texas, Cypress-Fairbanks is the only district without any priority or focus schools. When you compare Cypress-Fairbanks with the neighboring districts listed above, you will notice Cypress-Fairbanks, Katy, and Tomball do not have any priority or focus campuses. The other districts listed before you do have priority and/or focus campuses. The 2012-13 TAPR report contains tax data for students in grade 11. Beginning this school year, the tax will only be offered as an exit level retest only. Along the left-hand side, you will see the 4 content areas tested with the tax program: English Language Arts, Mathematics, Science, and Social Studies. Along the top of the table, you will see data represented for 5 student groups: all students, African American, Hispanic, white, and economically disadvantaged. These students represent those in the accountability subset and all tests taken by those students combined into one percentage. Before you now is a table containing summarized STAR data by content area and student group. Along the left-hand side, you will see the 5 content areas tested with the STAR program: reading, math, writing, science, and social studies. Along the top of the table, you will see data represented for 5 student groups: all students, African American, Hispanic, white, and economically disadvantaged. These students also represent those in the accountability subset, and all tests taken by those students combined into one percentage. The 4-year graduation rate for grades 9 through 12 is shown before you now for the class of 2012, followed by the annual dropout rate for the class of 2012. The second area we must discuss is the campus performance objectives. The campus performance objectives are included in the campus improvement plans and are the driving force behind the performance targets and academic strategies contained in the campus improvement plans. In the fall of 2013, the board approved the 13-14 campus performance objectives. The board and the public may access these data via the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District website by following the path before you now. Now we will discuss data from the report of the 2010-11 high school graduates enrollment in Texas public higher education in fiscal year 2012. The data before you show the number of students the Higher Education Coordinating Board was able to locate in 4-year public universities, 2-year public colleges, and independent colleges and universities in Texas. Also shown are not trackable graduates, those with non-standard identification numbers that cannot be used to match student identifiers at Texas higher education institutions. Not found graduates have standard identification numbers, but were not located in fiscal year 2012 at Texas higher education institutions. They may have enrolled in higher education outside of Texas. Our final set of data are taken from the annual report on violence and violence prevention. The entire report was provided to the board in the Friday packet. The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District's rate of infractions for the 2012-13 school year was .008, with a student population of 110,004. This statistic includes only data that are correlated to specific Texas Education Agency discipline action reason codes. Therefore, it does not include every infraction detailed in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Local Code of Conduct. At this time, we'll be happy to take questions on the academic part of the performance report, and Student Services will be happy to take any questions on the discipline infractions.
Before we get to any questions or comments from board members, Dr. Henry would like to share a few things.
Yeah, just very quickly, I want the trustees and, of course, the public to know, if you look at the numbers, there's an obvious drop in writing scores. Our writing scores were not great, and that is pretty well a statewide trend. And if it's okay, I'd just like for Dr. Macias to kind of touch on why we saw a drop in those scores and why we expect to see them rise this year.
Yes, there was certainly a drop in the scores, and the writing test actually changed. We now have at the fourth grade level 2 different compositions that they have to write to, which is very different than what they've been accustomed to. And then at the secondary level, the actual writing to the story or to what they're reading was also different. But I will share that we have worked very hard this year to change that. We have provided a lot of training for our teachers. We had over 500 teachers this year attend the Victoria Young workshop. Every campus in this district had a representative, and she's actually the creator of the test. So every single campus was represented there. We also have a writing committee at both the elementary and the secondary level. They are collecting writing samples. They are providing support and information back to the campuses. And then both of our coordinators are out at the campuses providing individual training as well.
Thank you, Dr. Macias, and thank you, Dr. Claiborne, for that report. Any questions from board members? Mr. Covey?
Yeah, number one, it's an amazing report. Y'all, I just can't say enough about our administration and our teachers in this district. They just do a tremendous job. And I guess the thing that I was looking at that I kind of wanted to make a statement about in looking at the violence prevention that we have. And it was amazing to me, and I guess this is something that is a trait that's going on. Gang-related reports, there was 0 in any of our high schools, and yet our middle schools had 7. And is that kind of the way things are going? Are gangs recruiting more middle school students than they are high school? I found that interesting. I expected to see more gang-related situations in high schools.
I may have Iffy or David comment on that, but some of that has to do with our coding
I was wondering where that voice coming from.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Iffy, you want to elaborate a little bit?
In reference to the coding with the gang infractions, it all depends on the actual behavior that the student is involved in as it relates to gang behavior. We are in the process as a district now of reinstating our gang intervention strategies and our plans to educate our campus administrators to be a little more uniformed in identifying those behaviors. We do not have, based on the information we've received, we do not have a big issue with gangs, but it is something that we like to keep our campus administrators informed on.
Okay.
And I'll add to that, that I wouldn't say that we've had an increase in the middle school, so that data compared to the high school. So I wouldn't say that we're seeing an emergence of more gang activity in the middle school than the high school.
Okay. The other thing I kind of want to make a statement on is the intervention procedures y'all have got. There's over 30 intervention procedures in training, which is amazing. And then the violence prevention, there's 35 of those. And I guess my question was, are any of those looking more positive in helping us than some of the others? And does everybody practice all of those, or is that kind of a pick and choose depending on what the campus situation is?
Are you referring specifically
The violence prevention programs and training.
Well, we do have quite a variety of things that we use, a lot of initiatives within the district. The first, of course, is making sure that our students are well educated on our code and the student handbook. That is a big, big part of that intervention. We make sure that we educate them on, the proper behavior and the expectations for good behavior on campus. And the teachers, of course, have quite a range of trainings from that's provided by the classroom management group out of my team. And we also have a lot of administrative training our assistant principals on how to work with students and how to be proactive. We try to start with the proactive end and then work down. We have school tip line. That's a huge intervention for us. We also have project safety, where we have 5 drug lessons and 5, we have the 5 drug and 5 bully lessons that we take the students through the course of the school year. So we have quite a variety of things that we use. And of course, we also now have our own CFPD. There's just the relationship that has grown from that with the campus administrators and the police department. I think that creates a lot of proactive measures out there for us.
If you don't mind if I add
go
to
ahead.
that. And also to couple with what Mrs. Ogwumike said, the violence prevention or intervention procedures that you're referring to, all of our campuses participate in that litany of opportunities there. However, on the C, the violence prevention programs and trainings, those are sometimes unique to the various campuses. So those are not standard procedures. It depends on the culture and climate and the decision of what the campus feels is best for them looking at preventive procedures. But those on the side B, that's across the district.
Okay. Thank you. And it's just really good to see that the infractions are down since last year. And I know a lot of that is due to the police force, but it's also the training that y'all are doing, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Any other questions from board members? All right, Christine, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what Bob said. That, to me, is amazing. With over 110,000 students, 881 infractions, our teachers, our police force, our staff are doing a great job, and I love seeing that it actually went down. And so applause, love that. I also want to say that, yes, as a parent of a 4th grader, I see all the different writing things that we're doing, and yes, that number is concerning, but as a parent of a 4th grader, I see all the interventions, all the things. I believe there's a writing benchmark tomorrow for my child. And so I was just thinking, oh, she's got to get a good night's sleep tonight. But she comes home and she talks about expository essay and different types of essays, and they're getting it. They're hearing it, and thank you.
Just wanted to echo Bob. You all are doing a wonderful job and academically and also with our prevention programs, and just wanted to just applaud you on what you're doing. And I think we have a good environment now with our own police force working along with what our administrative team does. And so just want to applaud you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Jackson?
Looking at the academic portion first, and this is really the district's report card. Under the Student Success Initiative, the number of our students requiring accelerated instruction by percentage is dramatically less than the state average or the average for Region 4. My question is this a result of better first-time teaching, intervention strategies, or do we just have a better crop of blueberries than everybody else does in the state?
Well, Mr. Jackson, we think we have wonderful kids, first of all. All of our kids, we believe, can be successful. But certainly our campus leaders and our curriculum staff have worked really hard to focus on first-time instruction and also on teacher training that focuses on understanding the new standards and the assessment as well.
I also couldn't help but notice that our students who had the opportunity, they liked the test so much the first time they had the opportunity to take it a second time, they significantly outperformed the average across the state as well as the average in our region. Are there any special reasons for that? Or do we just motivate our students a little bit better than everybody else?
Well, we work really hard to capture our kids who have to retest. And we do provide a lot of motivation, but we also provide very structured intervention. We have a lot of district-wide support, the lessons that are focused on the data that we collect from the district, the district assessments. We use that data to determine what are the areas that we need to focus on, and that's what we use to guide the instruction.
By every measure, this district outperformed the state average and the region average despite being funded significantly less than the state average or throughout the region, except in one case. If you take a look at 8th grade math, and we've seen this anomaly before, so I think I know the answer because I've asked the question before, but once again it popped up. So why did our students dip in 8th grade math?
If you recall, we've shared in the past that we have about 45% of our 8th graders that take the Algebra 1 end of course test. So they don't participate in the 8th grade STAR test. They're pulled from the STAR test and they take the 8th grade Algebra 1 test. As compared to the state that has about 24% of the students that take the Algebra 1 EOC. And of our students who are taking the Algebra 1 EOC, that 45%, 99.6% of them actually are successful with the test.
I also couldn't help but notice that we have a much higher percentage of students taking the required test. More of our students are being held accountable on a percentage basis than in the state or in the region. Yet, our test scores, our average scores are higher. I thought in general, when you increase the pool of students taking a standardized test, the scores go down. So is the reporting accurate, or are we merely an anomaly to what is commonly observed in all other cases?
I might turn that question over to Dr. Claiborne.
In some cases that can happen. I would say it would depend on the sample or the group of children that you're working with in that particular year. Many times a smaller sample or a smaller group of students is affected more by the students that perform really high or the students that perform really low. And what we see in Cypress-Fairbanks with the large number of students testing, you have a more equal curve or an equal distribution of students scoring either right in the middle or on the higher or the lower levels. We do perform better than the state, and that is reflected in the TAPER report. And so we're working on testing all students on the appropriate exams and getting all students tested on the days where they need to be. So that's why our size would potentially be larger.
I couldn't help but notice that we have almost double the percentage of students taking dual course credit, i.e. taking classes in high school that also earn them college credit, than the state or region average. Yet those who take advanced placement test, and I know we don't have an IB program here, but both are combined, but we have fewer students taking the AP test than the state or the region. Is there a reason for that?
Dr. Macias has that information.
Mr. Jackson, there are several variables that may have contributed to this. Certainly, we have a very strong relationship with Lone Star College, and together we continue to work toward providing more dual credit opportunities for our students. Additionally, the cost of taking the dual credit course is $60 as compared to taking the AP test, which is $92. Also playing a part may be that a student will earn college credit for the dual credit course by earning a B, C, an A, B, or C in the course. However, a student must earn a 3, 4, or 5 on the AP test to possibly receive college credit. And I say possibly because the universities determine which score to accept. In many cases, they lean toward the 4 or the 5.
Thank you. I also noticed that we have 73% of our students on the recommended high school plan or the DAP versus the state average of 81%. But we have a significantly higher percentage of our students going on to college, 67% versus 58%, and also a remarkable higher percentage completing first year of college without remediation, 72% versus 66%, i.e. being college ready. I always was taught by legislators that the recommended plan was the proper pathway to college, but it seems as if our students have a different path. What is your explanation for the difference of these numbers?
We do feel that we are preparing our kids for college and for the university coursework. But the required high school program is required for state colleges. Ivy League, out-of-state, and private universities don't require the recommended high school program. And as you know, in Cy-Fair, we have many students who attend out-of-state and private universities. And for those students, many times the minimum program has offered more flexibility in courses. It's allowed them to take and experiment with courses that we offer in the career and technology education area, or maybe different types of sciences or maths that they might be interested in.
Thank you.
What did I say, required?
Can I move now to the violence report and violence prevention?
Sure. Got another question? Keep it coming.
Okay. Have to get a little water first.
It's good that you pace yourself.
I too, like the rest of the board, am pleased that the number of infractions is reduced. If we take a look back to 2010 and 11 or 2009 to 2010, is the percentage of infractions lower than those years, or was this merely an anomaly?
Are you referring to 2010, 11?
Yes, in 2009, 2010.
2009, 2010, yes, that the percentage went down to 0.009. And if you look at the years that follow, there is a steady decline in the number of infractions, so that percentage is steadily going down.
We recently brought our police force in-house. Do you believe that that has an impact on encouraging our students to have enhanced behavior?
Well, absolutely. I believe what we've heard over and over again from campus administrators is that positive relationship that's being built between the police staff and the students, the administrators. So there's a relationship there, and that creates more opportunities for proactive things to happen before the behaviors occur. But in addition to that, we have a variety of things, as I shared earlier, that we also do on the camp with the administrators district-wide. That also helps with that reduction that we're seeing.
Thank you. I tip my hat to admin, but also to our police department. Safety is a primary responsibility, and I appreciate the results obtained. Not just the effort, but also the results. And I would also tip my hat to the board for bringing the police staff in-house. As noted before, I would have voted against it, and that would have been the wrong decision. So the board members who voted in favor of it, I thank you all for seeing clearly and making the right decision. And exercising political prerogative from now on, I'll probably say that I voted for it. Many of the board toured the JJAEP facilities, and we learned that this is an opportunity for some of our students to get a better message. Sadly, we had a number of incidents classified as felonies. How many of these resulted in referrals to JJAEP?
We had 41 referrals to the JJAEP in that area.
When we toured the facilities, we found that some school districts leave a student there for the entire year, and the cost is well over $40,000 per student. How do we handle it within our district?
Well, Mr. Jackson, the state funds all mandatory referrals to the JJAEP, and we only pay for the discretionary expulsions at a cost of $109 per day. And what we typically do is we reserve 2 seats for the year at 45 days increment. And just based on the historical data that I have, we have not used those discretionary seats that we reserve. At the end of each year, we do get a sizable refund check back in right around about $34,000.
Thank you. That concludes my questions.
That's awesome, right when I'm eating a piece of chocolate. I think, Dr. Henry, you had a couple of words you want to...
Yeah,
Do any of the board members have questions? I'm sorry. No? Dr. Henry, you want to make a couple of comments?
Just 2 quick comments to follow up with Mr. Jackson there. And he made a great point about the police department and security, and of course, Dr. Stewart, Ms. Ogumake, and of course, our wonderful Chief Bragg out here have really put together a great police department, and they are really making a difference on a day-to-day basis. But I would say that, as Ms. Stringfellow touched earlier about transportation, one of the big highlights of our long-range planning committee is going to be security. We know that there are issues facility-wise that need to be addressed, and that will be a focus of that committee moving forward, led by Ms. Blackshear out there. In fact, we're going to take that up at tomorrow night's meeting. I would also add, going back to the academic progress, I think there's one big reason that Cy-Fair has been successful for years, and it will continue to be successful moving forward. It's because no matter where you live in the district, there's equal access to programs at the elementary, middle, and high school, and you go to other large districts, and that's not true. You go to certain parts of the district to receive a better education, but in Cy-Fair, again, long before I arrived, and something I learned when I arrived here, is the commitment to children, no matter where they come from, no matter what their zip code might be, is equal across the district, and that shows up in the academic performance across all levels. Now, one of the things that we're really striving for is to not close but eliminate the achievement gap between our different subgroups, and we will achieve that. And we're moving that way with many ideas and programs, but most of all with an outstanding campus administrative staff and a just unmatched teaching staff across this district. So we're not, it's not a maybe. We are going to get there and continue to be the highest performing district in the state. So thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mark. And also, Linda and Ashley, thank you for this report. Also, want to recognize your team. I'm sure the two of you did not do this on your own, and you had people that helped you. So please share with them how grateful we are for their efforts in compiling this report. It's just another great reflection of Cy-Fair ISD. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with the board's permission, I'm going to move up. I owe Ryan O'Hara an apology. You have sat here patiently, and I apologize. I should have moved you to the very first agenda item so you could go home and spend time with your family. I'm going to move up agenda item 5G. The board will consider adopting an order authorizing the issuance of Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Unlimited Tax Schoolhouse Bonds, Series 2014A, 2014B, setting certain parameters for the bonds, authorizing the superintendent and associate superintendent for business, financial, and technology services to approve the amount, the interest rate, price, including terms thereof, and certain other procedures and provisions related thereto. I think we have a brief presentation. Mr. O'Hara has brought, he left something at our spot for each of us. It'll be the maroon and white handout at your desk. Ryan?
If I could introduce the topic, please, if you don't mind.
I didn't really want to hear from you tonight, but
Okay,
go ahead, sure.
That's okay with me. I'll make my presentation anyway, so. No, thank you. President Ryan and members of the board, and Dr. Henry, we are asking the board to adopt a bond order for the issuance of bonds styled, as you mentioned, 2014A and 2014B. The 2014A series bonds represent fixed-rate bonds, and the 2014B series bonds represents variable rate bonds. And the combination of these two series will total $165 million and are being sold from the 2007 bond authorization that was approved by the district's voters in November of 2007. The purpose of these bonds is for the construction of high school number 11, the architect fees for high school number 12, and elementary school number 55, and then also the remaining land purchases that were authorized in the 2007 bond election. And then we have also some various renovation projects under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So we are expecting to sell these bonds in early February with the closing in early March, prior to the March board meeting, at which time we hope to recommend approval of the construction contract for high school number 11. Ryan is here, as you know, our financial advisor with BOSC, to make a presentation. Also, in addition, I want to introduce our bond counsel, Jonathan Frells, with Ricewell and Giuliani, and he is here to answer any legal questions that you may have. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. O'Hara. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stone, Mr. Ryan, members of the board, Dr. Henry. Again, I did pass out a presentation prior to the meeting. I'll walk you through that. As we always like to start on page 1 of the presentation is an update of the overall bond market. The bond buyer index comes out every Thursday afternoon. Currently, we're at a 4.55% on that index. This is a national average, so it looks across at AA rated issuance across the country. As you well know, we issue, by virtue of the Permanent School Fund guarantee, as AAA, so we should do a little better in the market. There's been a little turbulence in the market, and that's primarily the rates went up first part of the year, or end of last year, is because of the Fed's signaling to the market that they're going to back off on the quantitative easing. The jobs report that came out about 2 weeks ago kind of changed the direction and everybody's thought process there, so we've had actually a pretty nice rally over the past week and a half. Page 2, as Stuart indicated, we are looking to do about $120 million in variable rate bonds, and let me talk to you about the reason behind that. This would actually be the third variable rate bond program that the district's done. We've done one in 2002 and 2005. The blue line in this graph shows long-term fixed rates, and the red line, not the bottom of the maroon line, shows what variable rates of interest have done. So right now, the spread between short-term and long-term rates is I've got indicated there in the green box is about 4.51%. So that's when we look at adjustable rate programs, when the spread between short-term and long-term rates is great. And you kind of look back at 2002 and late 2004 and see why we entered those bond programs at that time for the district. Page 3 shows you kind of what we're trying to do with this particular bond program. As Stuart said, we're looking to do a good portion in fixed rate. You can see on the left-hand side of the page, that's shown in that little yellow rectangle there. And then from 2033, the maturity's down. We're going to basically look at 3 different tranches, if you will, for the variable rate bonds. We're going to be looking at a 5-year put, a 5-year tranche, a 3-year tranche, and then a 1-year tranche. And the reason behind that is we want to kind of spread that adjustable rate exposure, if you will. This $120 million represents less than 6% of your overall debt. Said another way, more than 94% of your bonds are in a fixed rate mode. So we don't have a lot of exposure, but the tranching of these actually limits that exposure even more. On the right-hand side of the page, you can see how we have a traditional yield curve. And the philosophy behind this program is we actually take the maturities that are at the long end of that yield curve, and those are the ones that, if we sold them at fixed rate, would be closer to that 4.5%. But we're able to sell them on an adjustable rate mode. For the 1 year, we're looking at a 0.9%. For the 3 year, we're looking at about a 1.5%, and about 2.5% on the 5 year, just to give you an idea. Page 4, there's a lot of numbers on this page, but I want to make 3 points regarding this of why we're looking at again a variable rate bond program. We use a lot of numbers that go into our planning models, and this is basically a tax rate impact model. We're talking about this program. We've also, after we do this, we've still got $247 million in authorization. You can see that in the blue columns there. But what I want to talk to you about is the power of adjustable rate debt here. We, in this model, assume after the resets, the 1, 3, and 5 year, that the bonds go to 4%, just for planning purposes. That's more than twice the average of fixed rate debt over the past 15, or of adjustable rate debt over the past 13 years. That rate over the past 13 years has averaged about 1.65%. So it's very conservative to assume 4% as that reset. If we assume that, the adjustable rate bonds versus fixed rate bonds, the difference in interest rate costs is about $12.7 million. So we conservatively expect that to be the difference. You notice I'm not referring to that as savings, because that's not savings because it's a projection, but we anticipate that that's going to be the difference between a fixed rate bond program and an adjustable rate bond program. We also like to do a break-even analysis for the district. What do rates have to go to at the end of that 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year scenario? If they reset at some high rate, what would it take for us to equal what we would have sold it if we'd have just done them at fixed rate? And that's 6.25%. So we're very confident in our ability to manage this adjustable rate program. On page 5, we're seeing some districts around the state be a little more active in variable rate. That's purely a function of the market. We've done bond programs of this nature for Clear Creek, ISD, Goose Creek. We're talking with Tomball. Alvin just did an issuance, and you can kind of see I've got a representation listing of districts that have gone down this road. Page 6 is simply the calendar that we're trying to adhere to. As Stuart mentioned, we're looking for your approval on two parameter orders, one for the fixed rate and one for the variable rate. We anticipate having calls with the rating agencies if you approve these tonight to get us going, and then we'll look to price early in February and then close when funds will be wired to the district in early March. Be happy to answer any questions you might have of a financial nature, and if you got any legal questions, I'm going to turn them over to Mr. Frails.
Any questions from board members? Mr. Jackson?
In the days of my youth, I was CFO of a company that had a variable rate debt feature that for some Euro-Swiss offering. And at that point in time, the variable rate did not turn out as presented by our investment bankers. What is the trigger for the variable rate? What sets it? What are we tied to?
Well, it's basically SIFMA is the base, but when we go out, these are AAA, PSF, so it's a market all unto itself. It trades a little higher than a fixed rate would at a 1, 3, and 5 year, but it's SIFMA-based. I mean, it's market-based. It's not tied to SIFMA. There's no index, if you will.
So there is not a trigger out in the future that will set the rate?
That's correct. That's correct.
It is the market rate at the time?
Correct. Correct. And I think it's good to point out, if you go back to page 2, 2008 was the financial crisis, the dislocation in the market, and you can see what happened to short-term rates during that time. We're only exposed, if you will, at the end of that first year, at the end of that third year, at the end of that fifth year, during one day. These bonds are actually set up to be what we refer to as multimodal. So we can actually go to a weekly rate if we want to. And we actually had KDISD in the throat of this spike in 2008. And we went to a weekly mode, rode out the storm, and we were fine. So I think that's why I assume in our future resets that we just a 4% rate, which is more than twice the average. We try to be under promise and over deliver on those. Again, this is the third adjustable rate bond program the district's done. The other two worked out pretty well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please talk amongst yourselves. They wrote a really big word on my deal, and Dr. Henry wanted to know what it meant, so I obviously asked Marnie. Any other questions for Ryan? Ryan, I do have one question. What's the norm? Because you had said that our percentage of debt with the variable rate was like almost 6%. Is that the norm, or is?
Well, if a district doesn't have any, most smaller districts don't have variable rate debt. The rating agency, I'll answer it this way, the rating agencies allow for up to 25%, sometimes 30 depending on the district. But as you can see, we'll be at 5.58%. So does that answer your question? I mean, most districts don't want to go above 25%. And you'll probably see that, we do have the 50-cent test on our debt service rate, and you're going to see districts across the state that will probably be a little more active in this market. So, but I'm very happy with 5 to 6% of your debt is in this program.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Any additional questions for board members? Jonathan, thank you for being here, guys. I apologize. I should have put you right off the bat first and foremost.
I was at Clear
Won't
Creek till
happen
midnight
again.
one night, so don't worry about
Well, I
it.
know I saw you playing video games on your phone.
Thanks, Ryan.
But thank you, guys. Stuart, thank you.
Appreciate it.
This will take us back. We're going to have everything, since we have our agenda is all one actual action item. I'd like to go through the entire agenda and then have a motion, if that's okay with you guys. Awesome. Agenda item 5A, the board will consider awarding bids and contracts and are authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda item. Any questions on 5A?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Jackson.
And we have the answer in our board book, but I think it makes sense to go ahead and have the answer for the public to hear. We're being asked to allocate funds for the mass communication notification system. Why are we being asked to do this?
Well, if I can have just a couple minutes, I have a real brief presentation on it, just to explain to everybody what this system is and why we need it. The mass communication and notification system is basically a system designed to communicate with an unlimited number of people very quickly. And it's something that as a district we desperately need. This system will allow us to send text messages, make calls via landlines, over people's computers, whichever device somebody is using, we can send a communication notification to them. I think that the team that we've assembled in light of recent tragedies at different schools and weather events across the nation felt like it was very important for a district of our size to have a system that we could quickly notify parents, students, staff, anybody that would have a vested interest in the district, notify them quickly in the event that we had some type of event going on. This will give us a real-time solution to be able to quickly communicate information out in massive amounts to large numbers of folks. And as we've seen in neighboring districts and in other school districts, it's really important to be able to communicate with your parents, your students, and your staff. If we don't get our story out, somebody else will. And we've seen it happen over and over where we've had a situation where maybe it has nothing to do with our school. It could be something that's going on in the community, and as a precautionary measure, we may decide to secure our building, and we'll end up with news helicopters and parents calling frantically wanting to know what's going on because they're so afraid that something is happening in their schools. And right now we don't have an efficient method of quickly communicating with them. So it's very important for us to look at how we can fix that. We do have a team of folks that have worked diligently really for over a year now on this. We had people representing different campuses, security, Cyfair police, technology, transportation, student services, facilities, and communications. And we all met to discuss the needs of the entire district as well as the community, because anything that we do as a district really represents the community as well. So we wanted to make sure it was the right fit for them. And we interviewed and had demonstrations from all of the top companies throughout the United States that provide this type of a service. And you know, with that said, many of them were wonderful and offered similar features, but we went ahead and based our recommendation on the company that we felt could provide to the mass number of folks. And when you're thinking about just our students, our staff, and 2 parents per household, you're looking at probably about 350,000 people. If we had a district-wide emergency, we need to rely on a company that we know that can get that information out quickly to everybody. And so with that said, we're recommending School Messenger as our provider of choice for this service. Some of the features that they have that we'll be able to incorporate is the easy integration with our SunGuard system, which is the system that we use to store all of our student information. We'll have a custom designed mobile app. And one great feature is it's going to be our parent contact manager, where parents can actually go in there. And right now, when the information that we have, a lot of times it's the information that people fill out when their child is in kindergarten or preschool. And it's a home phone number, it may not be updated, and if there's some type of emergency notification, they may be at work downtown or working remotely. It'd be very difficult for us to notify them, so this will allow our parents and community members to go in there and enter the emails, the phone numbers, any way that they would like to be notified, an unlimited amount of notification, and should we need to get in touch with them quickly, we'll have all that current information. They can also have unlimited administrators, meaning you can have, Dr. Henry could send an emergency communication to everybody, but we could also have a principal at the school sending it to one group of students, or teachers sending it out to parents or students in their classroom. We can have classroom messaging very specifically, where they can just target one group of students or parents very quickly. We can do attendance notifications, transportation and food service. If your bus is delayed, we can send a text message or a notice just to the kids on that bus. And food service could use it to just send a notice out to say, hey, your child needs some more money in their lunch account. So there's many, many features, more features than I could possibly go into tonight, lots of bells and whistles. But really, the most important feature is that ability to notify people during some type of an emergency when we really need to get that communication out. And one thing that we've noticed is the number one complaint after there's been an emergency is that people are complaining about the delay in communication. And that delay in communication often breeds misinformation. And then you have parents that are upset, community members that are upset. You get stories floating out there, and then people don't feel like you're being forthright and honest with them. And this system will allow us to own that information that we put out there so that it's true and accurate and very timely at the same time. Should there be, the event of a disaster, we can send push notifications out to individual classrooms and wake up people's computers. So if a teacher was in the classroom and they got a notification via the loudspeaker system, they could actually look to their computer and be receiving messages about what's going on. They can post to our digital signage. So if you notice, most of the high schools have digital signage. They could put a message out to that. They can post directly to Facebook, Twitter, any social media. But it's really just that ability to be able to get that information out quickly and efficiently to everybody that needs to know. To alert parents, should there be a reunification plan that we have to come up with. I mean, we saw with our neighbors in West Texas, they didn't even have some campuses left after that disaster. So you can't rely on parents being able to come up to the school to get that information. You have to be able to push that out to them and say, this is where we're all going to meet and this is where you can get your child. School Messenger is coming to us representing some of the top districts in the nation. They represent 80 of the 200 largest districts in the nation, as well as HISD in Dallas. With our team of folks, we've checked everybody's references and have heard wonderful feedback from all the folks in the districts that are using them. And they also have a lot of systems of checks and balances, which are very technical that I'm not going to go into tonight, but just really a system that will ensure that if we need to get that information out, we can really rely on them. They delivered 14 million messages during a 2011 ICE event, and during the peak of Hurricane Sandy, the superstorm, they did 25 million messages during the peak. So, I mean, they're certainly able to handle the volume, and ultimately, that's what we needed to do. We needed to look for a company that could handle a district of our size. They also represent the U.S. Navy, Coast Guard, National Guard, numerous first responders, and some of the nation's largest districts. So we feel very confident coming to you, asking for your support to recommend this company. All right. Does anybody have any other questions? No, that was a lot of information.
Nicole, I
quickly.
forgot. I saw that you had a brief presentation. I apologize for
That's
just
okay.
not jumping straight into that. Any questions from board members? Additional questions? Let me just say this is, for a lot of our parents, we have several dual income families, several single parents. This is truly probably a godsend that they can, I know that each campus has, the dial-up where you can get, certain information, but to be able to have a mobile app, and is that free to our parents?
The mobile app is part of the package that we're having them come up with for us. So every parent will be able to get that mobile app for free. They won't be charged for it. And another thing that I didn't point out is it'll allow us to have all of our systems together. Like right now we have teachers that use Remind 101, and some people use different notifications. And then during an emergency, they may be looking to that avenue and it may not be available. So I think it's really important for us to have one main system that we use that everyone can count on. And over time as well, as some of our contracts expire, we'll be able to have everything that we do with one system, which will end up saving us money in the long run.
No, I think it's fantastic. Okay, thank you
Well,
very
and
much.
I also want to thank everybody that was involved. There was an entire team of people that put a tremendous amount of work into interviewing all these companies and making sure we made the right choice. So thank you to all of them.
You want to give them a shout out or anything? or-
Well, I mean, a lot of
Are they the
these
only ones that haven't
people-
stood up
I
tonight?
know, they're the ones have remained here, but, you know, Chief Bragg and Ralph and Matt Morgan and his staff and Deborah Stewart and Ifeaguma Kay. I mean, there were so many people involved. I don't want to leave anybody out. Everyone representing the campuses. I mean, this is a big,
Absolutely.
a big and much needed deal for the district, and it's really going to change the way that we communicate with each other. So thank you very much.
I think it's fantastic. Thank you and your team for doing this. Agenda item 5B, the board will consider approving the tax refunds of $500 or greater for Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. Any questions? 5C, the board will consider approving the minutes of the December 5th, 2013 special called meeting. 5D, the board will consider approving the minutes of the December 9th, 2013 regular meeting. 5E, the board will consider approving on first reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. Those policies are listed in our agenda. 5F, we will have a brief presentation on from Dr. Macias. The board will consider approving the calendar committee's recommendation for the 2014-2015 instructional calendar. Dr. Macias.
Thank you. This evening, I'm representing our 2014 and 15 Instructional Calendar Committee. The committee consisted of 42 members that included parents, teachers, paraprofessionals, campus administrators, and district support staff. The committee reviewed attendance data, the calendar survey results, which you have a copy of, and proposed calendars from other neighboring school districts and Lone Star College. Although HB1 continues to place limitations on the start of the school year cannot begin before the fourth Monday in August. So for next year, it'll be August 25th. The calendar committee worked to establish an instructional calendar that would maximize instruction with the least interruptions. The last day of instruction for the 2013-14 or the 14-15 school year will be June 4th. The calendar includes a full week at Thanksgiving and 2 weeks for the winter break, which is supported by the survey that we provided. After researching the instructional calendars for the surrounding school districts and Lone Star College, the committee established the week of March 9th through 13th as the proposed spring break. We will share the same spring break with Katy, Klein, Tomball, Waller, Fort Bend, Humboldt, Aldine, and Lone Star College. The major universities appear to have the following week as their spring break, March 16th through 20th. But we look at the surrounding school districts because we have many teachers who live in the surrounding school districts. The committee actually worked on a 2-year calendar. They also worked on the 2015 and 16 instructional calendar. However, they couldn't get confirmation on the spring break dates from our neighboring schools, the neighboring school districts, or from Lone Star College. So only are bringing forth the 2014 and 15 calendar for your approval. The committee voted unanimously to recommend this calendar that is before you. And I'd like to thank the instructional committee that worked on this calendar, along with the committee co-chair, Dan McElduff, for their hard work. And I'll take any questions if you have any.
I think this looks great. Thank you for the whole week in November. And I that's a big thing for me too, moving the spring break. I just realized that as a professor at Lone Star, that my spring break is different than my children this year. And I think there are a lot of people who work in the Lone Star system who have their kids in Cy-Fair, and I know there's a lot of teachers who teach in the Lone Star, like night classes and weekend classes. So I think that's a great move, and I appreciate it.
I agree. Linda, would you restate those districts? I got, did you say Katy and
Katy, Klein, Tomball, Waller, Fort Bend, Humboldt, Aldine are the ones that we're aware of after visiting with Region 4 and visiting with some of the districts.
Okay, that's great.
Some are still working on it.
I just, looking at the last day, I'm sorry, was it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're up.
Looking at the last day of school, which is June the 4th. Now, is that going to, are we starting graduation that night, or are they going to need a couple of days to get everything together for that?
Well, this year, our last day of school is June 5th, so it's actually going to be about the same.
Okay.
And we haven't begun to work on the graduation plans yet until we have the approval from the board.
But don't you usually need at least a day after the last day of school to start graduations then?
Deborah, I'm going to let you respond to that.
You know, this year, we're starting graduation on the last day of school, so this is our pilot year to see how that works.
Okay.
But as Dr. Macias stated, that once you guys adopt the calendar, we'll start working on the graduation plans.
Okay, thanks.
As you know, we are still, as I said, restricted by when we can start school, so that kind of makes it hard to move the calendar much.
Any other comments or questions from board members? Thank you, Dr. Macias. And thank you to all those that volunteered for that calendar committee. We appreciate your efforts. It's kind of a thankless gig. 5G we handled earlier. And then 5H, I'd like to do that separately. So if any board member wishes to remove one or more items for further discussion, please do so at this time. If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the action items as recommended or amended.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the action items as presented.
Motion, Mr. Covey. Second, Dr. Ogletree. Any further questions? All those in favor, please signify. It's unanimous. Stuart, that's sufficient for the bond. I visit with Marnie in case.
Yes. Yes.
In case anybody wonders if that was legal.
That's,
Just
that's
throwing that
legal,
out
and
there.
Mr. Ryan and Mr.
Yeah.
Frells were waiting for the board action on this, so, before they left. So, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, now they might as well just stay. Thanks, Ryan. That will take us to agenda item 5H. The board will consider nominations for the large district member position on the Tasby Board of Directors in Tasby Region 4, Position F. May I have a motion, please? Go ahead.
I would move that, and I would nominate Bob Covey to take my place at Tasby. This position is for somebody who is clearly dedicated to serving students from all over the state. Bob has shown this. He is a master trustee. He has served previously as president of this board, and I believe he would do a wonderful job representing Cy-Fair, but also the rest of the state as well.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. I have a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Ms. Hartley. Any comments from board members? All those in favor of Bob doing this?
Do I get to
please?
vote?
You can vote for yourself. I would. Go ahead. It's unanimous. The board will have a discussion on the following agenda item 6A. The board will review rezoning modifications of multiple campus attendance boundaries for the 2014-2015 school year. We've been given a packet at our spot tonight, and then it'll be, Ms. Hull will be leading this. Teresa?
Yes. I'd like to point out, I know last month, Mr. Edwards was able to provide this presentation, but as you know, he retired in December. We do have a new Director of General Administration, but after only 10 days on the job, I didn't feel like it would be real fair to her if I put her up here having to discuss attendance boundaries, but I do want to take the opportunity to introduce Christy Giron as our new Director of General Administration, who has been working closely with Blanca in the couple of weeks that she's been on the job, looking at the recommendations that we brought to you last month. Again, I want to point out that we're not asking you to take any action tonight on the attendance boundaries. We are recommending that the action on approving the attendance boundaries we've proposed be taken at the February board meeting. But this evening, we just wanted to take the opportunity to kind of review and summarize some of the input that we have received and that we've been providing to you on a weekly basis, and then to maybe just share with you. I know that in some of the feedback that we have received from the community, they've offered some ideas and suggestions
questions and some possible options for us to consider. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and begin with Anthony Middle School, and then I'm going to kind of move through those and kind of share that with you. Ms. Cooper has prepared a packet for each of you, and she will be putting up some of the maps and numbers as we go through this discussion. In looking at Anthony and drawing the attendance boundaries for Anthony, we definitely wanted to pick a plan that would provide significant relief, obviously, to Smith Middle School, but also to pick a plan that would allow students to stay in close geographical proximity to the school. No subdivision or neighborhood, trying to not split those and to keep those all together, and then also to try to maintain the high school feeder patterns. As I shared with you last month, all of the options that we are trying to recommend are trying to minimize the disruption, not only now, but even long term. We are going to be looking at having to draw some attendance boundaries next year. We are scheduled to open Elementary 54 in the Riata Ranch West. We're almost close to finalizing that land purchase, and so hopefully we'll have that elementary. We'll be doing some rezoning there, and then also needing to begin the process of looking at the attendance boundaries for high school 11 and 12, believe it or not. We have to do that pretty far out in advance. So some of the areas that you look at that may still look like the schools need relief. We did not make recommendations to touch those schools because we feel like there's the potential for those campuses to be included in some future boundary changes. And then also, again, me pointing out that we're not wanting to change high school feeder patterns for any of these recommendations at this time. In the option one, this is actually the option that I think has been most favorable from the community. And in looking at option one, the areas that would be rezoned from Smith Middle School to Anthony would include, but not be limited to, Canyon Lakes West East and west of Fry Road, Lakeview Lofts, Lone Oak, Paddock, Remington Grove, Town Lake, villages of Canyon Lake West, Westgate West of Creek, Windhaven Lakes, and Yopon Ranch. Now again, I want to point out with both option 1 and 2, all of these students are currently zoned to Smith Middle School. There are no new subdivisions or areas that we've pulled into these two rezoning options. It's really just a split of the school. And in looking at option 1, this is also an option that in reviewing with our transportation department, they believe would be the most efficient option for transporting students because of the different roadways and things through those areas. Option 1 also, if you look at that, is probably provides the most balanced enrollment as you move and progress through 2018-19. In our PASA recommendation, I know that that's been several months, but in PASA's recommendation and looking at our long-term plan for opening new schools and then also what we've presented to our long-range planning committee, Middle School 19, according to their projections, would need to open approximately 2019. That campus would be located in the at the Hagar site, which is our multi-campus site where High School 11 is currently going to be constructed. And so that southern portion of our district, there is going to probably be the likelihood that some of the subdivisions in that southern part of the Anthony or Smith attendance zone, whichever option you choose, at that point would probably have to be rezoned because we would be doing a shifting of students west, and it probably would balance out. And also, I want to point out one of the comments about the feeder patterns with Rennell and some of the elementary campuses that were pointed out this evening. The recommendation for Elementary 54 is in Riata Ranch West. When looking at Town Lake, or Rennell rather, Rennell Elementary, PASA is projecting that in the future, Rennell will be a pure Town Lake school. And so they recommended us looking for a site that would provide some relief from some of those other subdivisions that are currently zoned to Rennell Elementary, which is the area that Riata Ranch West and some of those areas and subdivisions will probably be rezoned for next year. So in looking at elementary feeder patterns, there's the potential for that to change for Rennell Elementary when we start looking at attendance boundaries for the opening of that school. So I did want to point that out as, you know, something that we did consider in looking at attendance boundaries. Okay. In option 2, in this particular option, really the difference in option 1 and 2 you will see is Canyon Lakes West. I do want to point out that although it's not indicated on this map, the res code, is it 152, Blanca? Yes. Res code 152, if you can just point to that on the map. There are currently no students in this this section of Canyon Lakes West. It's totally undeveloped. But even in option 1, if you notice Blanca colored that in, we are recommending that we keep that entire subdivision together, because although there are no students currently in there, that subdivision, if by 2019, before we have to look at another middle school, there's the likelihood that we would have students there, and we want to keep that subdivision completely together. So does that make sense?
So Teresa, that 152, it's not colored in on our sheets that we have, it's colored in.
Correct, correct.
Be colored in option 1.
Yes, and that's something that we just discussed this afternoon, that
Okay.
all needs to stay together. But there are no students currently in that section.
Okay, awesome.
Do you have any questions about
No, I just want to
Anthony?
make sure the board, since ours wasn't colored in, want to make sure everyone understood that that was part of option 1, that 152 was.
With option 1 and option 2, neither option would change the high school feeder pattern. We would still continue with students being zoned to Cypress Springs and to Cypress Ranch. That's the current feeder pattern for the students that are at Smith Middle School, so that would not change. Now, I want to go to some of the community input and the options that they ask us to consider. Some of the residents of Town Lake asked us, and I think they mentioned that this evening, to consider what we're calling a 2A and an option 3. Option 2A would involve moving students from several different middle schools. This plan would rezone subdivisions such as Remington Grove and Yopon Ranch and Paddock to Hopper Middle School. Westgate would be rezoned to Aragon, and Stonegate from Arnold to Anthony, and Riata Ranch from Spillane to Anthony. When we contacted PASA, who again we continue to work with in looking at long-range plans as far as the drawing of attendance boundaries and future school sites, they indicated, and all of our numbers agreed, that it would result in a real overcrowding at both Aragon and Hopper, while Anthony, Arnold, and Spillane would be extremely small and very underutilized. So I think Blanca has the numbers up there. If we chose an option like this, Anthony would open at approximately 887 students and would grow at a very slow pace with that option. And you can see those numbers up there. And then you can see Aragon would be at 1790, and Hopper would open at 1946 with that option of moving all of those students to Hopper Middle School. So we didn't feel that this was a viable option. We did want to share those numbers and let you know that we have looked at that and reviewed that from the community input. The next community option that was shared was option 3, what we're calling option 3. It requested that Yopon Ranch and Remington Grove attend Hopper, and villages of Canyon Lake West, north of Tuckerton, would be rezoned from Aragon to Anthony. And again, you can see in this option, one advantage would be Andre could then be a clean feeder to Hopper Middle School and then to Cypress Springs, but please note that then Anthony would be only at 50% of their utilization. It would be extremely small and grow at a very, very small, slow pace. And then Hopper Middle School would definitely be overcrowded. So we didn't feel that that was a viable option either. So just wanted to share those numbers with you. Okay. That's all we had on Anthony and the attendance boundaries. Do you have any questions or anything that you would like us to think about or consider in looking at the boundaries?
Ms. Magoya?
Teresa, can you make sure that we get a copy of those options? I can't find it in my package.
We didn't share that. We wanted to publicly share that, but we haven't given that to you. We just worked on that the last couple of days, so I'll get that to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Blanca has a copy for you now. She'll share that with you. Okay. Any other questions?
Teresa, where's the boundary line for Ranch and Springs? When you were saying how, because I couldn't remember,
Which subdivisions are zoned to Springs and
yeah,
which
what's
ones
the-
would go to Ranch?
Yeah.
Out of the current Smith attendance zone?
No, I was just trying to I was trying to figure out how many, I was wondering, I couldn't remember if all of Anthony would go to Ranch or not.
No, it
And
would be
then-
split
and no.
between Springs and
Okay.
Ranch.
Okay.
The
Okay.
dividing,
Thank you.
the dividing line is basically West Road.
Okay.
Everything south of West Road.
Okay.
Continue to go to Cypress Springs. Everything north presently goes to Cy Ranch.
Okay, and I did just want to make a comment that, we know that there are a lot of parents asking questions and giving input. I don't think any of us take this lightly, and I know as a person whose child was moved, she went to one school for 6th, then another school for 7th and 8th. She also moved her 5th grade year. It's, you think about it as a parent. I personally believe that helped her get ready for high school, because high school is a big change, and little changes and some changes help you get ready for that big change in high school. And I will say that she went to Salyards, and then she joined all the Smith kids at Ranch. And so that's been, I think she had some friends who she knew in elementary school, and then they've reconnected in high school. That can happen. There's lots of different ways to look at it.
And I just wanted to point out, you do have the high school attendance boundary map also, if you want that as a reference. That might help you.
Teresa, you mentioned Stonegate was wanting to go, and yet Stonegate actually goes to 2 different places. They go
I
to
think the recommendation was for,
south of Queenston, or?
Well, there may be some confusion. In option 2A, they're requesting Stonegate from that attend Arnold. All of Stonegate attends Arnold. Being rezoned to Anthony, Riata Ranch currently attends Spillane. There is Canyon Lakes at Stonegate, and there's villages of Canyon Lakes at Stonegate. So we may need to get clarification as to what they're actually considering to be Stonegate. But at the present time, all of Stonegate, which is right here, attends Arnold. It does not attend Aragon. This is Riata Ranch right here, and this is Canyon Lakes at Stonegate, north of Tuckerton, south of Tuckerton. These 2 areas do attend Aragon. So we need some clarification. But based on the input that they provided, they stated Stonegate, so we went with that information.
Okay, all right.
And Stonegate goes Arnold Cy-Fair.
That is correct.
that's correct.
Stonegate is divided between Berks and Lambkin, and the dividing line is Houston National. So there's some confusion. Certain students go to Berks, but they all go to Arnold, and they all go on to Cy-Fair High School.
Teresa, I've noticed on some of the options, and by the way, I think now's a good time to let the public know that we do get, when people send in their boundary input, their ideas, and they could be, to them, the greatest idea in the free world. We get all those ideas, we read them, but every Friday, we get, and actually, Teresa, you send those out during the week, just so we're not bogged down with all those, but we do get all those boundary ideas. A lot of them that I've seen that have come in, though, involve moving more students, moving more families than what we're proposing. Can you kind of just briefly talk about how our goal is to displace as few people as possible when we do a boundary process?
Absolutely, and that is definitely the strong consideration, and I think in looking at it long-term, and not to move students and then have to turn around and possibly provide relief to the school 2 or 3 years down the road and have to move students again. There are 2 factors that we really try to consider in looking at attendance boundaries. One is really trying to keep communities together. We do think that that's important as much as possible. It's not always doable, depending on the size of a community, but we make every effort to keep those communities together. And we also, and I pointed that out about the elementary, making sure that we try to keep groups of students in a feeder pattern so that you don't have small groups of students that break off and maybe attend a different feeder pattern. And again, in looking at this, and I know some of the concerns about the different subdivisions that are currently zoned to Rennell, we also need to think about that there's going to have to be some changes there because Rennell's going to continue to grow with the development of Town Lake. And so, again, I point out that PASS's long-range plan and recommendation is that we really, they predict that Town Lake will fill up Rennell Elementary. So we're going to have to look for options, the other students that are currently zoned there, and that's where the Riata Ranch West site that we're currently finalizing the land purchase for, which is the next elementary that's scheduled to open. So I shared that in just using that as an example of trying to minimize the movement of students. If we started moving a lot of these students that have currently been recommended in some of these plans, there's the strong possibility we'd be moving them again for elementaries.
I know we've got some other boundaries that she's going to be going over. Any additional questions over this so far?
Okay, we're going to go on to looking at Blythe and Hamilton. Is that the next one you have? Okay, with Blythe and Hamilton, we have received a good bit of community input on this boundary recommendation. And again, what we're looking at, this was actually some requests that were made because we had a small group of students in Anderson Woods and northern part of Norchester, who were zoned to Moore Elementary, but then were being zoned to Blythe, and it was just a small pocket of students. And so in looking at that, we considered that, and what this boundary change would allow for is then Moore would be basically a direct feeder into Hamilton, and then of course we would have students then following into Cypress Creek instead of just a small pocket breaking off and going to Blythe. So that was the recommendation. We've had a lot of positive feedback on that. The areas in the Blythe attendance zone that we would include in this recommendation would include Anderson Woods, Cypress Forest North, or Cypress Forest 2, Mandolin Apartments, Norchester north of Cypress Wood, Oak Hollow, Palazzo at Cypress Wood Apartments, Stonegate Villas Apartments, and Villages of Cypress Creek Apartments. So. And I think that the feedback that we've received on that has been positive and supportive. Okay? Any questions on that one?
Nope, let's keep moving.
The Dean to Cook Middle School attendance boundary change. This one accomplishes two things, or serving two purposes. We are recommending a change of students from Reed to Gleason, the Woodwind Lakes attendance zone. And so also in looking at their middle school feeder pattern, we needed to address that with that recommendation. The other thing that we're able to accomplish with this recommendation is providing relief to Dean. Dean is very overcrowded, and you know the challenges that we face in putting portables at Dean because of the city of Houston, the permits, and then just that site in general is pretty restrictive as far as additional portables. So in this attendance boundary change, we would be moving students in the area, not limited to Bart, Congo Lane, Burger Estates, Creekside Estates, Cy-Fair Townhomes, North Pines, Mobile Home Park, and Woodwind Lakes. They would be zoned from Dean to Cook. Cook definitely is underutilized. There's capacity there. And then also we would be addressing the feeder pattern change that would occur if you approve the change from Reed to Gleason with the Woodwind Lakes students. Okay. With Emory, again, I'm just going to, there's really the Emory, Hemingway, and McPhee changes. We've really received no input or any concerns with that recommendation, so unless you have any questions about that. The TIPS Metcalf, again, no input has been received on that, and that recommendation was providing some needed relief to TIPS, and also putting a group of students at Metcalf that basically we feel could even walk to school because it's in such close proximity to the campus. The Wilson Sheridan, no input's been received on that recommendation. Wilson is definitely over capacity and was needing some relief. Sheridan has room, and that we feel is a long-term solution. The Fraser, Gleason, and Reed, I think I mentioned that in talking about the Dean to Cook, but the Fraser, Gleason, and Reed, again, is some shifting there, providing some needed relief to Fraser and Reed. And Gleason was definitely under capacity. They have space, and we're also, again, putting a community together, as Mr. Culpepper pointed out, that we had Woodwind Lakes divided, and this pulls that community together, and it also provides the needed relief to Fraser and Reed, and then with the middle school plan to Dean Middle School. Have any questions on that one?
Teresa, I just like you to briefly say something about when you're going through these, and we might have Emory, Hemingway, and McPhee, and you say, well, we've not gotten any feedback on those, or minimal. Just talk a little bit about what we do to let people know that this is not just we're not getting feedback because we're trying to slip them under the rug here.
Right.
I mean, we've let them know, we just haven't gotten any feedback from various parts of this community.
Correct. And the principals were provided all the information that they sent out through key communicators, parent newsletters, parent letters, and then didn't we also mail letters home to all of the students or homes that would be impacted by these recommendations? And so we try to, provide as many opportunities to notify the families that would be impacted by the recommended changes, and then, again, not rushing to make a decision, going through basically a 2-month process that gives everyone the opportunity to become informed if for some reason you didn't get the newsletter or the key communicator or the letter mailed home, that it still provides other, ample time for parents to become informed and provide that input. I think for many of these, I don't see the lack of comments or input as a negative. I think in many cases, I think that the families and communities are fine with the recommendations, and some have been very positive. So.
Any additional questions from board members?
Okay. The last one is Haregrove, Lee, and Owens. We don't have any comments or anything to share on that. Hancock and Moore. We have received a good amount of input on that. With that change, students would be in close geographical proximity to Moore and provide the needed relief that we need for Hancock. Hancock is just, kind of an older design, and it's difficult to accommodate the growth, and they're really projected out to continue to grow. There's going to be some future challenges in that part of our district with addressing the increase in enrollment because of the building designs for those particular schools, Hancock, Yeager, Matsky. And so this is providing some needed relief for Hancock and zoning them to Moore. Did you have any comments?
Yeah, I was just
I didn't. I said it, but I don't think there was anything. Did we want to say anything about that one?
It was just.
Yeah. Okay. This last rezoning proposal was the proposal to rezone students from Swinkie to Keith, definitely needing to give Swinkie some needed relief. They're large and they're continuing to grow. Swinkie has a high enrollment. As of today, they have 1,288 students and continue to climb. They're operating at 117% capacity. Keith's current enrollment is decreasing. They're operating at 75% capacity. And so the students being rezoned would continue to, again, we're maintaining the same middle school and high school feeder patterns. We're not making any changes there. And we felt that the option of the subdivisions that we are recommending in this proposal, Bridal Oaks Estates, Cypress Landing, Edworthy Farms, Riverton Ranch, and Saddle Ridge Estates, that those would be long-term moves and provide the needed relief to Swinkie, and Keith definitely has the space to accommodate those changes. So, and again, you know, the only other option in providing the needed relief with Swinkie is then to start looking at ways to divide sections of Fairfield, which always is a little more challenging, again, with our goal of trying to keep communities together as best as possible. But Fairfield obviously is a perfect example, you know, just it's so densely populated, and we have 3 elementary schools in that subdivision. Okay.
Can I have a question on this one?
Absolutely.
I know that down there below Alt, there's the new apartment complex, which is right above the Outlet Mall. And I know that that's going to be family apartments, but also know that there's 2 more, and one of them is a 55 and over. And God love them if they got a lot of kids at 55 and over. But I was also wondering, because right next to H-E-B, there is another apartment complex going in. Have we got any idea on how many kids are going to be there? And it looks like that's going to affect Alt, quite possibly, and additional to Keith.
Yes, we have 2 subdivisions, there, 2 apartment complexes that will affect the students from all. The issue is that at the present time, we want to see how they populate. I can send you the information we have from the apartment complexes. We have a breakdown of how many apartments, how many bedrooms, and so forth. These are going to be very high-end apartment complexes. So we would not have as many students as we would in other apartment complexes. But I can send you the breakdown, and we have shared that with PASA, and when they come back in April to do their presentation, that information has already been given to them, and they're researching it also.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yes, Dr. Ogletree.
On the Moore and Hancock, what is happening in that area that we would be, I mean, are those older schools that we would be looking at population increased in that area?
That's a great question. I think, Blanca, correct me if I'm wrong, we're really seeing a lot of apartment complexes around that 249 area as well. That is yielding a large number of students. And in Yeager, the problem is really Hancock. Hancock is the one that is really growing, and I think it's partly due to the apartment complexes that are currently zoned there. And then Yeager is just so limited in being able to give them any relief with their current student enrollment. And so the most viable option, we felt, Matsky can't provide the needed relief because of the design of that building is limited in taking on a large number of additional students. And so that's, did you have anything to add?
What I wanted to share is that Hancock doesn't have a bilingual program or a pre-K program. Their bilingual is divided between Matsky and Yeager. Their pre-K program also goes to Yeager. So if you're looking at the pocket of students that actually feed into Hancock, there's 166 students that are not in their home attendance zone. They are sent to different campuses based on that. We have 30 students at Matsky, out of the bunch, and there's 116 bilingual students. So since Hancock is a very small campus insofar as when they were built and so forth, we're trying to give them more space, and in the future, hopefully, we'll be able to bring some of those programs back. They do have the Deaf Ed program. It's a regional program, and they split between Berks and Hancock. It is split between them, but they have always been at Hancock, and they have a tremendous setup there at that campus. The issue is that Moore does have more room, and this would help us when we are recommending changing all of Moore's attendance zone to Hamilton so that all the students go to Hamilton Middle School and then move on to Cypress Creek.
But again, I think the enrollment increase is due to the number of multifamily complexes that are in that area, because we're not seeing it slow down in the near future. And that is interesting, because that is definitely what you would perceive to be older areas with empty nesters. Also a regeneration of families coming in, new families moving into those homes as well, so.
Anything else, John?
Yes.
Aren't Hancock and Moore the same footprint, the same
There is, no,
floor plan?
they're not.
Let Roy speak to that.
Hancock, Moore, and Adam, I thought were all the same.
Well, currently, I know that Hancock has 6 portables and Moore has 0
No, I'm
portables.
not counting, I'm just talking about the actual structure itself.
This structure.
Roy?
Yeah, Hancock and Adam are very similar footprints. Moore, I believe, is a 2-story building, if I remember correctly.
No, not unless we threw one up there yesterday.
Okay, I'm just, that's more,
Do you have school capacities?
I do. It's in.
Again, that's what's interesting with that whole area, as Blanca was pointing out. There's actually 166 additional students that should be zoned to Hancock, that are zoned to Hancock, but because of the special program, they're enrolled in bilingual pre-K. They are going to Yeager or Matsky. Well,
Well,
they
that
go
was
both, Yeager or
really the
Matsky.
purpose of me saying that. I don't want people to think that we're trying to tell the public that Moore has a larger capability for additional students versus Hancock if people are sitting at home going, isn't that the same building? I don't,
Moore right here has 900 has a capacity of 974, while Hancock has 856. So it could be the way that,
Also the Deaf Ed
It
program.
could be the way it's set up inside. I understand that, but I'm talking about the footprint itself. Those are roughly the same.
as I've had a chance to regroup here, you're absolutely correct. I think those 3 are
Can't
basically
remember.
the same footprint.
Okay.
So I apologize.
They
for
all
the-
start running together to me. I can't remember. That's good memory.
Shockingly. Okay.
Just, Mr. Ryan, just one quick point, and trustees and the communities, so that you're aware, all of this information is available on the website for anyone who wants to go take a look and examine. So
We have not posted the 2A and 3 option with Anthony. If the board would like for us, we don't see those really as real viable options, but we just wanted to share those numbers with you based on the input that we received.
Teresa, and I'm not speaking for the board, but I would ask the board to consider this. I think, John, you might remember this previously when we had some real boundary deals and we had option 8A, 8B, 8C. And at that time, we finally just said, look, we're not going to come up, or we're not going to post, not to say we will not consider, because we're going to read everything, but we're not going to just post up for the public to vote on everybody that walks in with an option. No disrespect to somebody walking in with an option, but we have demographers. You guys have done a great job. If people bring something to the table that we would like to consider, then we'll consider it in this environment. But I don't think as a board, we should have all these options posted on a website for people to start voting on. If anyone would like anything different, let me know, but.
I agree with you. I think it should be sufficient that Ms. Hull has recognized that community input has stated it and considered it. And as a result of those considering it, has already said why those options won't work. So I don't think it should be posted.
Anybody else? Great, thank you guys for your efforts, and we'll continue to get feedback from the community and discuss these options as we move forward. We will now go on to the superintendent's briefing portion of the agenda. Dr. Henry will make comments and provide information on various district topics. Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. The 4th Annual Cypress Hoops Invitational Tournament held December 12th through the 14th at CFISD raised more than $20,000 for the Donate to Educate program. Of the 24 teams participating, Cy Woods High School placed 5th in the event. Thank you to the corporate sponsors who support this tournament and help make it a success. January is designated as National Mentoring Month. This month-long outreach campaign focuses on attention on the needs for mentors, whether individuals, businesses, faith-based organizations, nonprofits, or schools working together to mentor our young people. Mentors can make such a difference in the lives of students struggling with academics, personal issues, and/or staying in school. If you would consider becoming a mentor, please contact the Partners in Education office. We will honor our school counselors February 3rd through 7th for National School Counseling Week. Our counselors can have a tremendous impact helping students achieve success and plan for a career. Certainly, we appreciate all their unique contributions. On Monday, February 3rd, we will hold a special called board meeting at the Berry Center to honor 171 students who have been recognized by the National Merit and National Hispanic Scholars Program. I look forward to this special event to honor these achievements of academic excellence. The program will be broadcast live on our website, www.cfisd.net, and replayed throughout February and March. The 20th Annual Cy-Fair ISD Livestock Show and Sale will be held January 30th through February 1st at the Exhibit Center at 11,206 Telge Road. Approximately 600 student exhibitors, and over 800 student projects and animals will be exhibited and judged. A flyer, which I believe is now being shown on the overhead, is also available on our website showing the times and designated animals for the livestock judging. You'll also note that February 1st at 11 a.m. is the Buyers Luncheon at Arnold Middle School, and the premium auction at the Exhibit Center will start at 1 p.m. We invite everyone to attend and support our students who have been working diligently for months in preparation for the show and sale. We're proud of these dedicated students who raised over $690,000 last year due to generous corporate and individual participation in this sale. The Cy-Fair Education Foundation will present Salute to Our Heroes on Saturday, February 8th at 6:30 p.m. at the Omni Hotel West Side. This event honors the brave men and women who are serving or have served to preserve our freedom and liberty. Proceeds will create an endowment in the memory of fallen soldiers, which will be used for college scholarships for CFISD students. For more information or to purchase tickets, contact Marie Holmes at the Cy-Fair Educational Foundation, 281-807-3591. The first annual Superintendent Fun Run will be held from 8 to 11 a.m. on February 15th at the Berry Center. The deadline to register is January 31st. Proceeds from this event will help fund scholarships and teacher development grants through the Cy-Fair Educational Foundation. Come out and run, walk, or just cheer on other people at this fun activity. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Dr. Henry. If there's nothing else, our meeting is now adjourned. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. Appreciate your input, and we'll see you at our next meeting. Have a great night.
How you feeling? Long night, so I was wondering.